In a couple weeks span of some absolutely devastating stories of police brutality amidst the ongoing Derek Chauvin trial, we have a standout in police brutality stories for you. It involves the fatal shooting of Adam Toledo, a 13-year-old. Yesterday, Chicago released video footage of the actual shooting more than 2 weeks after Adam was killed during a foot chase in the Little Village neighborhood. Adam's a 7th grader at Gary Elementary School, had been missing for several days before he was finally returned home on the night of March 28th. And so we have a photo of him. Now this story stands out not because it's probably a needless killing by the police. That's so many stories like that, but shootings of 13-year-olds, Jesus. I mean, that is just, as long as police brutality killings like this have been tracked, it is still one of the standouts. It's not the youngest. I found stories of 2 6-year-olds that had been killed, but this is devastating. And we have the footage. We're not showing you the footage, by the way. It has been made available and it certainly is available. So we have an inconsistent policy on that, but I just can't do it, can't take it. You can see the footage if you want. Brett, I don't know if you had seen it yesterday, if the main show covered it at that point. But let me know what you think.
I've seen it. I can tell you that when a cop shoots a 13-year-old, that is tragedy for all the reasons that should immediately spring to mind. Like, how is a 13-year-old in a position where they are shot by a cop? This is sad. This is depressing. And I think the mayor of Chicago has the best angle and take on it. There are people who, immediately dive into their own angles on it that they feel will best support. They triangulate, like, what can I say? How can I say it in a way that allows me to still cater to my audience? And all of them, frankly, make me sick today. No matter what side of the spectrum you are on politically, people on both sides are using this. I mean, I would prefer to spend more time talking about police running after people in the dark and less time like on the 2 freeze frames. There's 2 freeze frames being passed around right now about this. The first freeze frame is a kid with what looks like a gun in his hand. Before he turns around. And then there's a second freeze frame of a kid without a gun in his hand after he turns around. And most people agree on this. Most people are like, let's talk about a situation that leads to a 13-year-old in a back alley dying at the hands of the police. But a lot of other people are like, he never had a gun. And a lot of people are like, he totally always already had a gun. And I think we can all have a serious conversation about policing and about this particular situation without doing this really gross, grifty thing that everyone seems to be doing today.
Yeah, I will say I haven't absorbed nearly as much of that as you, because in the same way that I just can't take playing or watching the video after all of what we've seen in other stories recently, I've tried to avoid most of the response. In searching through the news as we do every night and every morning, I did come across some of it. I've got 1 or 2 little tidbits of that later on. But yeah, and the whole thing just feels like you're describing the current state of the conversation. But like, we also have been through so many iterations of this that I already know, if you were to manipulate little bits of the story, exactly what the response would be. And it's just what's obviously lost for most people is a 13-year-old dying. Like, Brett, do you even remember being 13? Like, yes. How many memories you do? You have memories?
Well, I'll say this. Yeah, I do have memories of being 13, absolutely. Very, very many memories of being 13 years old. It is when you are now official. Like, I'm from the San Fernando Valley, and you get, and as like knowing a lot of people who are having bar mitzvahs, and they're always like, now you're a man, but you're still 13 and your voice still cracks. You're not by any means a man. But I will say that, like, this kid did not have the childhood that most people get to have in America.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's it. Yeah.
Just because we're talking about his childhood, can I jump ahead to these two graphics where Elizabeth Toledo, mother, is talking about Adam, says he had a big imagination and curiosity since he was a little baby. He was goofy and always cracking jokes, making everyone laugh. He loved animals and riding his bike. He sounds a lot like most kids. She says Adam was really into zombies and the zombie apocalypse. He even had this zombie apocalypse bag packed and ready to go. Some of his favorite movies and TV shows were Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, Ghostbusters, SpongeBob SquarePants, Toy Story, Cars, The Walking Dead. Wow, really? He's watching The Walking Dead. Yeah, I guess he's 13. His palate favorite Taco Bell pizza, chicken wings, chips, and candy. So already I can see about 50% overlap in me and him being the exact same person, effectively. And yeah, it's just devastating. And the footage is out now. Years ago, in advance of body cams being so common, I, in one of the many ways that I am stupid, believed, oh, well, that'll clean things up. But no, as you're pointing out, even having the footage, you can go in multiple different ways. For me, like, I don't know, his hands were up. I don't know what.
No,
I don't know what you're supposed to do sometimes.
Here's exactly what happened. Okay, I'm gonna say exactly what happened, but it'll reveal, the point of my thing is to reveal the truth in what you said, is you thought it would clean everything up. But I will say, here's what I think happened, and I'm just some schmuck. But the kid is being pursued down a dark alley at night. It seems like he had a gun in his waistband. He thought it was, when he saw an opening in the fence, that it was the perfect opportunity to take the gun out and, while spinning around, drop it behind the fence and turn around with his hands up, hoping the cop would not find the gun. What this reveals to me is, like, they both made split-second decisions. Right? It was literally, it was at 0.8 of a second, the whole act. The cop was saying, show me your hands, do all that stuff. The kid is dead because they both were in a position where this all went down very, very fast. And listen, I've seen tons of police body cam footage. And if you're looking, I mean, the true takeaway is that frequently the body cam footage gives us as viewers more of an idea of what happened and a clearer picture morally of who should be held responsible for making bad decisions. We saw a police officer mistake a taser for a gun. I watched that. I believe that she did that. I also believe that even though it's a mistake, it's technically a mistake. Like, wow, you're gonna tase someone behind the wheel of a car that was about to pull off. Is this the smartest move even? But it is better to have the evidence than not to have the evidence. And when we watch videos like this, we should be, the more we see, the more we can pull together a very realistic idea of what policing is and what not only the police go through, but the people who are being pursued by the police, whether actively in a back dark alley or just while they're going about their normal business, having done nothing wrong, still feeling and being pursued by the police, pulled over for no reason. And we can still, you won't get like a what do you want? Like, watch this video and get a gratifying ending. It's not gonna happen. This is a 13-year-old's dead. A cop shot him. You're not gonna get a gratifying ending. The goal should be, how do we get a better idea of what's happening in these neighborhoods and the way police act and the way people have to act in order to make it better. And that's not gonna be easy or make you feel good.
I think in theory, the gratifying ending is it being so obvious that justice will be unavoidable. And that has been proven to be impossible. It doesn't matter what the footage, whether in this story or another story shows, footage can come out showing that someone was on their knees, had no weapon, was surrounded by cops, and they decided to just shoot him. That doesn't actually fix the situation. Having footage of someone on someone's neck for 9 minutes, it's never enough. It's never enough, and that's the frustrating thing. The thing is, just cops are trained to be terrified and to use lethal force when they're terrified. And I understand when the cop makes the decision not to shoot, we don't generally see those. They don't become national stories. So I understand that, but it does seem like we are a standout internationally in making the decision to shoot. With the idea being that cops are trained to think, no, people are like totally casual about killing cops. That's a decision that lots of people will make. And so you should be terrified of them making that very common decision all the time. And so they're trying to do what they do in this story and a lot of stories. And the thing is, you cannot separate implicit racism from this. Like, cops experience people with guns all the time. And we know they do not see all these situations the same. I don't know, maybe this is a version of what you were talking about earlier, but like, we have the photo of Kyle Rittenhouse. When Kyle Rittenhouse had just shot and killed multiple people, he's walking around with a long gun, his hand ready to shoot. The cops are not terrified. They're not scared. They're not telling him to put the gun down because they look at him and think, oh, he's not gonna kill a cop, come on. I mean, sure, he just murdered people, but he's not gonna kill a cop. Or you might say some of the cops that saw him that time didn't know that he was the one that had just killed multiple people. But they're not terrified of him with an assault rifle. But sometimes having something that conceivably looks like a gun is enough to say, oh no, that's definitely a gun. And that person, if I let my guard down for a split second, that person will murder a cop because that's a thing that tons of people do all the time. That's a problem. It's not a problem just of one story, but it's a problem across a lot of these stories.
And that is racism. Like, when you define racism, that's it. They see a white kid, and it's also like hockey. Like, that guy's equipment's more expensive. Like, sure. The guy with the enormous assault rifle, there's even like classism built into that, where this guy can buy a giant assault rifle. So I guess it's fine. That should be scarier. That's a giant gun that Kyle Rittenhouse had. Whether you know that he killed people with it before that or not. Like, and they're not gonna drop him. And the reason is, cops of all races are like, well, I've seen a lot of black people that I've arrested. And that's a white kid, so he's closer to what my, white people are like, that's my son.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a million subconscious assumptions that you make without realizing it about what is likely to happen. What is the like if I'm seeing a thing, what's the explanation of what I'm seeing? What's the motivation? We project motivations onto people in ways that we don't understand all of what goes into that equation.
For more political news, breakdowns, interviews, stories of activism, and me trying my hardest to care about the occasional big celebrity news story, subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Damage Report. And you can ring the bell wherever it is so you don't miss anything.